Good morning, everyone. I am Heather Anna-Spigian. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Tropic Supply, and we're going to get started here in about 3 minutes. I'm going to share my screen. I have a couple announcements at the beginning, and then we'll turn it over to Todd for our third session. Our second session was unfortunately rescheduled because of our friend, Mr. Milton, the hurricane. So we did reschedule that one. You should have already gotten a notice with a new date, but I'll go through that in a second. So let me just share my screen and let's get this party started. Okay, from beginning. Okay. Perfecto. So we'll give everybody a couple more minutes to join, and then we will get started. If you're just joining, welcome on in. Come on in. We'll get started right at 8 o'clock, which is literally 1 minute from now, with some quick announcements. And then I will turn it over to Mr. Todd Sutherland, who's going to tell you all about product technical support inside of My.Ruud. Okay, let me try this again. All right, Todd, do you see the right view now? Just want to make sure I'm sharing the right view. I'm going to move this over here and let's see. All right.
There you go.
That's better. Okay. Yeah, I have 2 screens going and I was sharing the wrong one. All right, so it's 8 o'clock. Again, my name is Heather Anna-Spigian. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Tropic Supply. I have some quick announcements before we get started with Todd's third session on mastermyruud.com, where we're going to be talking about product technical support. Just a few announcements. Of course, October is our month where we raise awareness for breast cancer. We are having our annual t-shirt giveaway to those of you who purchase 2 or more cases of glass floss filters on a single invoice. They are our partner in this endeavor along with Ruud. If you do that, you will get a long sleeve black t-shirt with some cool pink design on the back. And you take that shirt and you take it to a job site and you install a filter and you send us a selfie. You can get into another promotion where you can win a soft-sided igloo cooler. Make sure you send your selfies to marketing@tropicsupply.com on Thursdays by 4 p.m. And then we have a contest on Friday for voting. And if you win, you get your selfie a igloo cooler. So don't miss out on that promotion. We have a number of training sessions going on this month, all of which are listed on our events calendar at tropicsupply.com/events calendar. Refrigeration training is something that we're doing. We just had to reschedule a lot of those sessions because of the hurricane. All of those have been revised on the website. If you find yourself trying to register and the class appears to be full, just send us an email at marketing@tropicsupply.com. We do manage a wait list. We make confirmation calls the night before training classes just to make sure that everyone can attend. So if a spot opens up, we'll be able to get in touch with you. So check out the refrigeration training from Russell that's on the calendar, as well as aluminum coil repair. This class is a very hands-on class. You will get an opportunity to try to repair aluminum coils in a number of different ways. So make sure that you attend that one. And then starting in November, we'll be doing another round of A2L training, this time specific to Ruud and the A2L sensor that they will have installed in their units. All of these events are again on the events calendar. In most locations, we'll be doing a morning and an afternoon class. So make sure you visit the events calendar and get yourself registered. You will get some in-depth operation or in-depth information on how that sensor works and how what's the best practices for installing A2L equipment on the Ruud side. In the spring next year, we'll be doing the same thing for Allied, but for right now, we're going to start with Ruud. And then here's our series. We're not here at session number 3. As a reminder, this session number 2 got rescheduled to December 4th. If you registered for session number 2, you should already have gotten a notice with that date change. If you did not, please reach out to us at marketing@tropicsupply.com and we'll make sure that you get transferred into that class, but that's going to be on December 4th. And hopefully we'll have no more hurricanes here in Florida for the rest of the year. I think we've had our fill and we will not have to reschedule again. All right, just some quick notes. Everybody's on mute. Put your questions in the chat box, not the Q&A box, but the chat box, and I'll be monitoring that as Todd goes on. There's going to be prizes at the end, some nice Ruud Richardson hats. So take good notes. First one to appear on our screen with the correct answer will win that hat. We are going to be sending you a link to the recording after this webinar, and you're also going to be getting a survey request. Please fill that out. It will take no more than 3 minutes, I promise. We just want to make sure that we are providing awesome content and anything we can do to improve as we go on. We want to get that feedback from you. And without further ado, we are going to get the show started with the one, the only, Todd Sutherland. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And that should give him access. I'm going to take myself off video and off audio, and I will pop in if we get any questions. Todd, ready, set, go.
All righty. All right. So I just started sharing my screen. So hopefully you're seeing the My.Ruud page. Just a quick reminder, if anybody on here was not in the first session, if you don't have a myruud.login, just reach out, excuse me, a myruud.com login, just reach out to either somebody at your local Tropic Supply or email marketing@tropicsupply.com and they can get you set up with My.Ruud access. We went through most all of these tabs and all the different things, a brief overview in the first session. And today we're going to concentrate right here on PTS, or what's called product technical support. Now, most of you, when you open up your screen, this icon's going to be there for you. If not, you can also access it under the products tab and just come right down here to product technical support. Either one of them will take you to the same page. Now, when we click in here, you're going to see a list of all the different equipment and thermostats that Ruud sells, including the mini splits that they have available. And at the top over here, you're going to see some drop-down menus. Most of this you're going to leave the same. The only thing that you may change is if you're looking for older equipment, all the way back, gosh, probably into the 70s. There's some really old product that may not be in there, but you can come in here and click on discontinued product, and it will bring up product literature from pretty far back. There's not much that you can't find on there, but today we're really going to concentrate on the current product. Now, one of the first things we're going to jump into that I use quite a bit is this blue tab called At Your Fingertips. Okay, there's a lot of information in this tab. One is, well, we'll go from top to bottom. You got temperature resistance, which is just simply the 10K ohm chart for temperature versus ohm readings for the sensors that we use in the Ruud EcoNet enabled equipment. From there, we're going to jump into EcoNet Technician. There's quite a few things that we want to discuss in here. This is where you're going to come for help with the codes when you're installing an Econet enabled system. When you install an Econet enabled system, you'll see you have the M1 units, which are the AZ style units that we're currently installing. And then you also have the previous models, along with the furnaces and so on and so forth, all the way down the line. Air handlers, residential package units, so on and so forth. Now, where this is important is when you're looking for a code, okay? So you're going to come into here, and let's say you get a code of A001_O on a UA16AZ. You would simply click on that unit, come to alarms and alerts. You typically are going to read that code off the Econet thermostat, but even if you read it off of the app via Bluetooth, you can click in here. You're going to see, as you scroll down, the codes, and you click on the code, and this is going to give you what the code is, the description of the code, the expected operation, the cause, and the solution. There's a couple things I want to point out here. In earlier sessions, we talked about shortcuts to get to these pages. Now, what I've noticed as I go through these and look for some codes, that if you want to make sure you're going to get the full response, it's best to follow this flow that I just went through. So for example, let's take this same code, A001_O. One of the cheats that we talked about earlier is when you're on the home page, if you had that code, you could just simply type it up here. So A001_O, and it'll pop up down here. But when you click on it down here, you'll see that it doesn't have all the same information that you got when you went through the flow through. Now, that's something that I'm hoping we're working through with Ruud, where that will eventually link to the same page. But I don't want you to shortcut here, see this and go, well, there's really no answer there. Now, on some of the codes, there will be, but I'm just saying, if you look at this and you think maybe there's more information, then go back the way that we talked about just a second ago. Go into product technical support at your fingertips. Econet technician, and select your product. Okay. So again, we were in the UA16AZ, and we have these alarms and alerts. Now, one of the things that I want to point out with the alarms and alerts, if you have an alarm and alert and you don't have internet access and you need to contact technical support, which would be Brad Evans, Tim Murphy, or Steve Pareba, make sure that you include this part of the code. This is at the suffix at the very end of the code. All right. And you can see each suffix means a different piece of equipment. O is for outdoors, A means air handler, furnace, so on and so forth. So a lot of times we may have a code, say like an A901 that could be, or you could have a sensor code or something like that, where that sensor code could be the same for indoor and outdoor, but that last digit tells us where that code is coming from and whether or not it's an alarm or an alert. Okay. Now, some of the differences while we're here talking about alarms and alerts. When you come across an alarm, what you're going to see is this is a critical alarm. The unit will not operate in any mode. Okay, so alarms are going to shut the system down. Alerts are going to alert you that there's pending problems coming. Now, some of the alerts will have a 3-strike you're out rule. So for example, if it's tripping out on low pressure, it'll trip out on low pressure, then it will reset. Trip out on low pressure again, it'll reset. If it trips out on low pressure the 3rd time, then it will go into a lockout. Okay, but the main difference between your alarms and alerts is an alarm is going to lock you out, and alert's going to give you a warning. Okay, so Like I said, the way to get the most accurate information is to follow the flow going through to get here instead of putting it up here in the cheat window, okay, or the search window. Now, let's go back. Oh, sorry, let's go back to the product technical support home. As we mentioned earlier, anytime you can click up here, it's going to take you back to your home page when you click on the Ruud logo. Okay, come back into at your fingertips, and we're going to highlight a couple of more things that are here and at your fingertips. And then what I'm highlighting mainly, and I'll go through more if we have time, but what I mainly want to highlight is the areas that I tend to gravitate to the most through calls that I get out in the field. Next would be the job site information sheets. I'm not going to go into big detail on filling these out, but these are job site information sheets. If you're out on a job and you have a problem with a system and you need help from our tech support staff, it's always best if you can have one of these filled out. Now, I know that that's not always going to be possible, but I can tell you if it's something that we can't quickly solve for you over the phone, then more than likely our tech support staff is going to require this from you, because oftentimes when we get these readings, we can determine just from that what the issue is. So for example, if we click on this one for a heat pump, all right, these are all temperature and pressure readings that we're looking for. Okay, we're going to be looking for your superheat, your subcooling, whether you're in heat or cool mode, your wet bulb and dry bulbs, static pressure, your high side, low side pressures, and then temperature readings in different areas throughout the system. And then on the second page, excuse me, this is actually the first page, is the homeowner information, the equipment information with model and serial number, a summary of what the problem is, and some additional information. So it's always best to have this information on hand when you call tech support. At the very least, we're going to want the model and serial number of the indoor and outdoor unit. And then, like I said, if through discussions on your first call to us, if we can't readily solve the issue, then we may require you to go out on the job and take some time to get these readings. And one thing I will say about these readings, the better the information is that you give us, the better the answer is going to be that we give you back. Okay, it's as simple as that. So many times we get these and they haven't taken the time to do the readings, or they've guessed at the readings, and we can clearly tell that there's problems with this chart that may not be reflective of what's actually going out on the field. So if we ask you to fill out a job site information sheet, please take the time to fill it out correctly. If you need assistance in filling it out, then simply again reach back out to one of us. Okay. And as you can see, we've got job site information sheets for just about everything, including our zoning.
Todd, I have a
Yes.
question. Is that JSIS electronic form? Can you fill it out?
Yeah, if you have Adobe PDF, yes, you can if you have a PDF thing that allows you to fill that stuff out, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And rumor has it, and I know Wade's on the line if you want to allow him to pipe in or not. I believe they're going to be updating these to something even more user friendly, or easy, more computer related to fill out on that.
Okay, I'm going to ask him to pipe in the chat with
Okay.
that answer. Thank you.
And next, I'm going to jump down to the Ruud tie downs, because we get this quite a bit. This is where you can find information on the tie downs. Okay, so you can see this is grade mount. I'm pointing at my screen. I know you can't see that. Sorry. Grade mounted applications for 31, 39, 35, and 51-inch maximum unit height. Okay. As we scroll down, you're going to see for some different units on here, and it'll just keep on going down. You'll see these are commercial units, rectangle legacy units, RACD units, cubed units, Renaissance package units, so on and so forth. And all you simply need to do is click on these PDFs. It'll open up and it's going to give you the tie down information that you need for that system or that your inspector may be requiring for you if you need that note. Okay. And this is the actual letter from Florida that if you click down here will give you the mechanical tie down sheet as well for Miami-Dade County. Okay. All right. Okay. Next thing that we're going to go down to, which is important to us right now, here you can access the flood letter. Now, this is not updated. All right, you can see this is November 2022. If everybody will remember when Hurricane Ian came through, I certainly do. But this is a letter that may help you with your homeowners on how to handle an equipment that's been damaged due to a flood. We've reached out to Ruud, asked them to update this letter for Helene and Milton. Hopefully we'll be getting something back on that soon, but that's where you can access that letter. Okay, let's see. Okay, last thing I'm going to touch on here is right here, the zoning guide. And I'm only going to touch on this because zoning could be a whole class in and of itself. Yes, we have zoning available for the Econet controlled systems. I would tell you if you're going to do it, you're more than likely going to want to do it on an 18 SEER system, not a 16 SEER system, because the 16 SEER system, you can basically do 2 zones, where on the 18 SEER system, you can do, I believe, up to 5. But it's very critical when you're sizing these because they have minimum CFM requirements for the smallest zone. Let me touch on something real quick. You notice when I clicked on zoning guide, okay, you saw that little bar that came across the screen. I'll do it again. Okay, but nothing's here. All right, just don't think, okay, there's nothing in there. Sometimes you have to scroll back up to the top to see what's actually populated when you click on that. Okay. But you have the EcoNet zoning guide and the installation instructions. When you click on these, well, that's going to download a file. Let me see if I can go right to the zoning guide. They're both going to click on file. Can you see my whole screen? Did I share my whole computer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. So this is the zoning guide here, and it's going to give you an extensive walkthrough of what you need and the to size a zone system on this. And if we scroll down here, okay, like on these are some of the minimum requirements on airflow. All right, so you see this is for furnaces, outdoor units that are compatible, air handlers, so on and so forth. And basically what this means is the unit has to run at a certain capacity no matter what. Even though it's a multi-stage or variable speed piece of equipment, it has to run at a minimum amount of power no matter what. It has a limit to how low it can go. And so there's a minimum CFM requirement that's required for your smallest zone that's calling when no other zones are calling. And if you don't pay attention to that, I promise you, you're going to have problems. So I would encourage you, if you're going to do a zone system with our Ruud equipment, please reach out to your HVAC consultant. If they need to, they'll reach out to myself or somebody at Ruud, or we have people that can help you with what part numbers you're going to need for that and what the minimum requirements are going to be for that as well. We won't build your zone system for you, but we will be able to tell you, okay, here's the parts you need to order for the size dampers you want to do. And if you do it this way, here's what the smallest zone minimum requirement of CFM is. Okay, so we will definitely help you with that. All right, so all of that is just the first section of PTS underneath at your fingertips. Key takeaway from here is if you're looking for your tie downs, your job site information sheet, or you need to see what a code is reading on an Econet controller at your fingertips, and selecting your piece of equipment is going to be the best route for the most complete information. Okay? All right. As we move down, you see we have air handlers, commercial indoor air qualities, split air handlers, condensing units, so on and so forth on down here. Now, all this simply is we'll start with condensing units for my friends in the South. I'm a heat pump guy, just in case you don't know that. I normally talk about nothing but heat pumps. I get reminded on here that there's other parts of the state. Okay, and you see you have all the equipment listed. Even the new AY equipment is listed in here. The AY is going to be the new R454B equipment. When you click on here, it's going to give you all of your information, your warranty, your installation instructions, use and care, wiring diagrams, spec sheets, charging information, submittal sheets, and line set sizing. Okay, so if we go into spec sheets, one of the things that, well, I'll show that on the next thing. These are mostly going to be in order, but you will occasionally find where these are not in order. For example, if we go back to PTS and we go to the RA14AZ again, and we look at installation instructions, well, those are. Okay, so sometimes what I want to point out is sometimes these will not be in order. Now, again, we're working to get that corrected, but always check the dates for two reasons. If you install the unit, let me back up to the, I'm going to back up to the spec sheets. Okay. So we've got when the units first came out in 2022, there was a revision in October of 2022, April of 2023, and January of 2024. So if you installed an RA14AZ and you installed that system in June of 2023, and you need to look up a specification on it, you're going to want to go to this spec sheet, not this spec sheet, because the diagram could be different. The information could be different. There could have been an actual change in the product that caused us to go to revision 3. So if you're looking up information on a piece of equipment that you've already installed, make sure you look at the serial number of that piece of equipment and that you're looking at the right specification sheet. Okay. Now, when you come into the specification sheet, this is going to give you, again, all your information on the equipment. Now, one of the things that I wanted to touch on this is all your physical data on the equipment, you know, your general data. You're going to get all your physical data on here, accessories, sound limitations, unit dimensions. Shoot, I wish there was a, I'm not adept enough to rotate this on this computer. Let's see, rotate clockwise. There we go. Look at me. Okay, so this is the line sizing sheet. Okay. Now, this is something that's important to pay attention to. And the reason I say that is we're going to be changing out equipment, not just doing new installations. And as we go to whether you're going from 22 to 410A or 410A to 454B, there may be some line changing requirements. But oftentimes, for example, you may go out on a 3-ton that's got 3/8 and 7/8 lines, or 3/8 and 3/4 lines, or even 3/8 and 5/8 lines. All of those are acceptable, but you may have some decrease in the system capacity. And that's where you're going to learn this information here. So if you're doing a 3-ton change out and the new 3-ton system is putting out not a full 36,000 BTUs, but a 34,800 BTUs, and you're having to use 3/8 and 5/8, and you have a 20 or say 35-foot equivalent length of line set, you're going to lose that 0.97%. So you would take that 34,800 BTUs times 0.97, and if it's going to give you that 3% reduction in BTU capacity, which may knock you down enough where now you're really replacing that 3-ton with a 2.5-ton, even though it says 3-ton on the box. So what I'm trying to reiterate here is we need to get away from the mentality of 12,000 BTUs per ton and 400 CFM per ton. Because a good example that I like to put out is if I asked everybody in here how many BTUs in a 5-ton unit, hopefully everybody would answer 60,000 BTUs. Well, I can tell you it's been a long time since I've seen any manufacturer's 5-ton unit that puts out 60,000 BTUs. Most of them are in the 55 to 56 range. Some of them are even in the 53 to 54,000 BTU range. Now, the other thing is when you're looking at the matchups of our equipment with the air handlers, what you're going to see is with the newer equipment, we've reduced the CFM requirement or the CFM flow for the optimal range of the system. So for example, if you're looking at an RP14AZ36 and you match that up with an RH2TZ 36 or 17, 36, 17, whatever the nomenclature is, sorry. When you match that up with the appropriate air handler and you look at that under the 0.5 static pressure, which is what we design our systems for, you're going to see that the CFM on that is like 1,086 CFM, not 1,200 CFM. Okay, so it's roughly 350 CFM per ton, which in my opinion is better for Florida because you get better dehumidification at 350 CFM per ton than you do at 400 CFM per ton. But I just say that so that you're aware of those and you're looking at that when you're doing changeouts of equipment. You want to come into these spec sheets and you want to look at what the actual BTU capacity is of those systems. Let me rotate this back the other way. Let's see where that is. Bear with me here. Scrolling through this. So you see here, it's listing nominal. Where's my BTU ratings? Okay, right here. Okay, so you can see here's the RA14AZ36 where 34,200 is the total capacity. And you'll see all the way at the end over here, we got 1,025 CFM. Okay, this is at basically a tested combination, which is ASHRAE conditions, 95-degree outdoor ambient, 80-degree indoor ambient, 67-degree wet bulb, and at 0.5 static pressure. Okay, so make sure if you're doing manual J's and you're getting a readout of what you need here, that you're looking at the actual BTU capacity, that you're not just going by what nominal tonnage is on those systems. Okay. Jump back to PTS. Now, when we're in PTS and we're looking, let's go into a heat pump. And let's say we're looking at a RP15AZ. And we're going into the installation instructions. Okay. Here's a good one that's out of order. All right. So you can see here, this is July of 23, March of 23, and then May of 23. Okay. So these are out of order. So again, you need to be careful and make sure you're looking at the date and that you're selecting the correct one for what you want. Most of the time, the most current one will be at the top, but the other ones may not necessarily be in order. So again, please be careful of that. Wade, I hope you're taking notes. Okay. Oh, okay. Let me apologize here. This is a special addendum. Okay, but these are still out of order. So this bottom one is actually the most recent installation instruction for this particular unit, not this one. This is a special addendum that was added on the 2.5 ton. So if we come into this one and we look at the installation instructions, I'm going to run through these very quickly. But what I wanted to show, these come with every single system out there. Most of the guys never look at them or throw them away, use them as knee pads, whatever. But there is a wealth of information in here, including diagnostic and troubleshooting, system startup, how to the measurements of everything. It's just a wealth of information in here. I'm a nerd that likes to sit at home at night and read through these and find things that I can complain to Ruud about. But there's just a wealth of information in here. Talks about piping charts. Oops, sorry about that. Piping charts that are in here, how to properly trap the system if you're installing a horizontal air handler up in an attic, allowable clearances, unit location, even statements on corrosive environments, unit mounting methods, the snow depth chart in case you get snow in your area of Florida. Line set length and fitting losses. So again, when we're asking for what your liquid line length is on a troubleshooting sheet, we want to know what the equivalent liquid line length is. So even though you may have 30 feet of actual liquid line length, when you include the elbow coming out of the unit, the elbow going up the wall, the elbow going into the attic, the elbow coming down from the attic, the elbow going into the unit, and you add that all up, now you may be at 38 feet of equivalent line length. If you have a liquid line dryer is typically 6 feet. Okay, as you can see right here, the filter dryer is 6 feet of equivalent line length. So again, make sure you're giving us the correct information. This is your line sizing chart again. As we get into here, it talks about vapor line selection, oil return to the compressor. We're always looking for the smallest vapor line to help with better oil return to the compressor. This just talks about, you have to give it a second for it to clear up. There we go. This just talks about the mounting the units relative to indoor. This one is important. This is often overlooked. I see this a lot of times. When you're doing a horizontal application in an attic where the outdoor unit is below the air handler, okay, then you're supposed to route the refrigerant line to the top of the evaporator coil and then come down. It's like an inverted trap that you're putting in here that's then come down to your connections on the air handler. Oftentimes I'll see the copper line come up and just run right across the bottom of the attic and then go right up into here. You're supposed to come up to the top of the coil when it's laying down horizontal and then come down to the air handler. Another thing that I often see is people, when I go up into horizontal applications and put a level on here, they've set the unit perfectly level. If you read the installation instructions, you're supposed to have that tilted up a little bit towards the drain from both the back and the angle, depending on whether you're horizontal left or horizontal right. Okay. Again, all that's listed inside here. This just talks about leak testing, final testing. Now, one thing I'll tell you in here, when you're talking about evacuation, Ruud is asking that you evacuate the system to 500 microns and hold 500 microns for at least 15 minutes. I've seen where I've pulled a vacuum down below 500 microns and done a decay test. And when I do that decay test, I'll shoot from say 450 microns back up to maybe 800 microns within that 15 minutes. Now I'm still below 1,000 microns. Okay. And a lot of times people have been taught that as long as you get below 500 and stay below 1,000, you're good to go. Well, I can tell you if you go up into that 800 to 1,000 in 15 to 30 minutes, you're still going to have moisture in the system. Turn your vacuum pump on, pull it back down again below that 500, and what you'll see is that decay will get smaller and smaller and smaller. It'll go from that 800 to 1,000, where your next decay may only go up to 600 or 700. We also recommend at Tropic Supply that you pull down to below 350 microns more than instead of 500 microns. And we do a whole class on proper evacuation, but that's for another time. Then you'll come into your different wiring diagrams that are all down here for all the different applications, whether two-stage heat pump, dual fuel, whatever, goes into your power wiring, and system startup and verifying airflow. Okay, so it'll talk about airflow, and it's going to give you heat pump system requires a specified airflow. Each ton of cooling requires between 320 and 450 CFM. See the spec sheet, okay, for the airflow rating for the system design. Okay, so make sure again that you're looking at that. Okay, then it just talks about charging by weight for the different line sizes, system startup. It walks you all through charging by liquid subcooling, preliminary charging by pressure. All this information is, as far as your charging chart goes, is going to be on the outdoor unit. I'm going to show you that in just a second. But again, this gives you information where you can note all this down, and it's going to talk to you about how to charge that system properly. Okay, it's going to walk you right through everything. There are some specifics to our equipment. For example, if you're working on let's say you had a system that went out at 7 o'clock on a Friday evening in the middle of August, and you weren't able to get out there until Monday to put the new system in, there's a good possibility that the inside of that house is going to be very hot and very humid. When you first turn the system on, if the temperature needs to be below 80 degrees in order to charge it properly. So you may just have to do an initial charge on pressures, then bring that temperature down in the house below 80 before you can do a proper charge with subcooling based on the chart outside. Okay. Then it's going to go through a sequence of operations. And then at the very end, your diagnostics and troubleshooting. This particular unit's got some diagnostic codes on the defrost board. It's going to give you a little temperature resistance chart here, and then a little flow charts on this. So again, there's a wealth of information in these installation sheets. If you're installing one of our pieces of equipment for the first time, or if you've never looked through the installation instructions, take a set of them home with you. When you're sitting on the couch in the evening, browse through it. Like I said, there's just a wealth of information in there. Give you some information that you may have not been familiar with. I'm going to jump into one of these one more time, and we'll look at the charging information. We'll look at the current one. And I know that this is very difficult to see. Let me see if I can. It doesn't look like it's, well, shoot. Doesn't look like it's letting me zoom that out. Well, sorry about that. But basically what you got is it lists, this chart is going to be the same chart on all the 15 SEER heat pumps. So they don't have an individual, well, I guess it just took a little time to catch up to me here. Okay. All right, so let's see if I can. Okay, so over here you have your outdoor dry bulb. Okay, then you have you see you got your 18, 24s, 36s, all the way over to your 60s. So for, and this right here is for upflow or left-hand horizontal. This is for downflow or right hand. That's what that DF and RF means down there. Okay, that's your direction of flow. So let's say we're looking at this 3-ton with an RH2TZ 3617 upflow, typical garage installation. We're looking at a 95-degree outdoor ambient. This is what your liquid and vapor pressures should be approximately. This is what we call a gross charge check only. Okay, so it's basically saying your pressures should be about this charge right here. Then from there, you're going to follow this column down to the same 95-degree outdoor ambient, and it's going to tell you what your subcooling should be. So here, where we were at 363 over 139, we're come down here and we see that it's looking for 8.2 degrees of subcooling. So you can see how much more critical the charge is on these. Now, if you read your notes over here, okay, you're going to see that your subcooling tolerance is plus or minus 1.5 degrees. Okay. Also, on our 2-stage equipment, you want to verify that it's in 2nd stage when you're doing this. On our equipment that has the EcoNet controllers, there's actually a charge mode in the EcoNet controller that you'll want to use. You will not want to go to the thermostat and just crank it down so that it goes into high gear. You want to put it on charge mode, because in the charge mode, it's going to put the compressor and the blower at the optimal speeds that it wants you to set that charge at. And that may be different than what you'll get if you just crank down the thermostat. On these units, when you're doing a 2-stage unit, 2 things you need to be aware of. You want to make sure that you've cranked the thermostat down to get it into 2nd stage, but you also need to make sure, if you're using a variable speed air handler and you're using a thermostat that has dehumidification, that your dehumidification is set where the fan's going to be on high speed. Okay, so you need the compressor at full stage and the fan on high speed. You've got, we won't go into that here, but if you've got questions on how to do that on the 2-stage heat pumps, again, either reach out to one of us at tech support or reach out to your consultant and we can help you with that. Okay. All right, so back to product technical support. Let's see if there's anything else we want to pick on here. Wiring diagrams. Again, when you come in here to the wiring diagram, you're going to see both a schematic and a wiring diagram. Okay. And the reason why it's important to make sure you're looking at if there's different diagrams listed, make sure you're looking at the right one for your piece of equipment. When we're looking at these wiring diagrams, you see they're dated. So if you've got a system that you installed between June 26th, or that was manufactured between June 26th and August 15th, you need to make sure you're looking at this wiring diagram, not this wiring diagram or this wiring diagram, because you'll be looking at the wrong wiring diagram. Okay, so just make sure you're paying attention. That should have been one of my test questions. Okay, just make sure you're paying attention to the date when you're going through these. Do we have any questions thus far that I need to address, or you guys got that under control?
The only comment is Wade did pipe in and did confirm that the JSys that is on the My.Ruud system is downloadable PDF that can be completed electronically. So it's set up to have those fields in there.
Okay. Okay. Excuse me. All right, and then that's it, unless there's a section of PTS that somebody wants me to go into.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions or you want him to look at something in more detail, just put it in the chat and I will let him know.
while we're doing that, I'll jump over here to discontinued products and show you like some of the older stuff you're not going to get as much information on. And the sheet may, like if we go to, it's going to be, might be a photocopy of a sheet that was printed. Okay, no, this is actually a good one. Some of the older ones is actually just a photocopy of it and not anything that you can really, it's not actually done in a PDF like that, but you will still get, oh, one more thing I want to jump into here. When we're talking about product technical support, there is another way to access this. So let me go back to here to the Ruud. And let's say you want to look up something on an RA14AZ. You can just come up here and type in RA14AZ, and you're going to get a drop down, and it's going to bring you right here to this, where under products. If you just click that, it's going to bring you to this page. Similar but different. Okay, it's very similar to the product tech support page, but this is going to give you general information on the unit. It's going to give you certifications that you can look at, if there are any. And then documents. When you click on documents, you'll see you've got an AC heat pump comparison, consumer literature, spec sheet, submittal sheet, and warranty card. That's under the consumer. If you want to look at more specific things that contractors are going to look at, you're going to click here under product technical support. And now you're going to have the warranty card, the spec sheets, the installation instructions, charge information, use and care, submittal sheets, wiring diagrams, so on and so forth. Okay. So there is a different way to access that. It's laid out a little bit differently. I've been around for a long time and have been using PTS for so long that I'm just used to going through the PTS portal instead of typing it up here. But a lot of the newer guys like just bumping it into here. It'll take you to the same thing. And as you can see, and maybe these all appear to be in order date-wise, so that may be what Ruud is gravitating to go to that. Was there anything somebody wanted me to look at, Heather?
No, but Todd is saying, do you want to show them, and I'm not sure where it is, but the nomenclature chart, so they know what year that cereal was produced, so they know what spec sheet they should be looking at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay, so there, I don't think we have the serial number breakdown anywhere in here. But I can tell you, I'll type it up here in the window so you can see it. I'll do like a W122302443. Okay, I have no idea if that's a good, look at that. It actually is a good serial number. How about that? All right, when you're looking at any of the Ruud serial numbers, the date code is always the first four numbers after the W, okay, after the letter in the date code, the W. So what that's telling you is that that was manufactured the 12th week of 2023. Okay, the 12th week of 2023. Now, if you're looking at the actual name tag, on most equipment that's manufactured, probably most of your 410A equipment and forward, the name tags have gotten a lot better. They're a lot easier to read. They don't fade out as bad in sunlight. And we've put serial numbers on the outside, on the inside, on the electrical compartment. So there's more places to read this information. But if you can read the actual tag on the outside of the unit, it will not only have the serial number, but it'll actually list the manufacturer date. It'll say MFG date and list the actual date of manufacture for that piece of equipment.
Awesome. I do not
All right.
see any more questions in the chat. If you would like to unshare your screen, I will get us to the test portion. So everybody, get your typing fingers ready, and Vielka is going to be monitoring the chat. Remember, the person that answers the first is going to be on her screen. Your screen will not always show where you are in position. So don't yell at us if it looks like you won, but on our end you didn't. So we try to be as fair as possible. So let me share my screen again. And Todd, you can tell me if, let me see. I want to get to here, slideshow, from current slide. Is it looking correct on your end, Todd?
Yes, I'm seeing, yes.
All right.
Oh, while you're there, tell them about Todd Talks.
Okay, yeah. So Todd Talks. Oh, a shameless plug for Todd
Yeah, shameless
Talks.
plug. I need views.
Todd is trying to go viral.
Yeah.
All right, so Todd is helping us out doing some short sessions on our YouTube channel. That he's got a playlist on our channel, on our YouTube channel, reviewing some of our products and giving you tips and tricks about various things that we stock. So he has a channel, so go and see it. YouTube, look up Tropic Supply and you will see a Todd Talks playlist. He is making new videos on the weekly basis, and I think you'll find that information to be very useful. We are also featuring that in our social media channels. So if you're not following us on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook, please do so because you will see them there. As well as inside the stores, you'll see him broadcasting from our digital signage network at each of our locations. So that was your shameless plug. We are ready to go to the first question. Vielka, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, here we go. Question number 1. Where in PTS will you find tie down documents for Ruud products? A, under the condensing unit tab. B, under the at your fingertips tab, or C, under the commercial tab? The correct answer is B. Vielka, who said B fastest?
David Brantley.
Hey,
David Brad.
David. Welcome. I'm
David
glad you're here. David's
David
one of my
Bradley.
customers that was in good
Awesome.
guy.
He's a winner chicken dinner. David Bradley, please put your email into the chat
Yes.
so that we can reach out to you and get this Ruud Richardson hat to you. It's not necessarily going to be this color combination, but you can pick from the available options. All right. Question number 2. You have a UA16 showing the error code A001_O on the EcoNet controller. Where can you find the most complete, that is your keyword, information about this code? A, enter the code in the search window on the homepage. B, in PTS under the condensing unit section, click on UA16AZ. Or C, in PTS, click on at your fingertips, then EcoNet Technician, and then select UA16AZ.
David, you can only win once.
Exactly.
Poor David.
David, I'm sorry. Yeah. You can only
David,
win
props
once.
to you, but all right,
Yeah.
so the next person that answered C is the correct answer in this case. Vielka?
And it is Matt Presti or Presti.
All right, Matt, winner chicken dinner for you. Put your email in the chat for us so we can get you your Ruud Richardson hat. And finally, last and final question. This is your last opportunity to have some good swag. You have an older 3-ton system you're replacing with an RP14AZ where the existing line set is difficult to replace. Where can you find the line sizing and length information for this unit? A, in PTS, click the heat pump tab and select the RP14AZ link. B, enter RP14AZ in the search window on the homepage and then click RP14AZ. Or C, both answers A and B are correct.
Again, Glenn, props to you for being the first one to answer.
Heather, I'm
But
going
the
to try to make
winner,
these longer for you next time.
It is really, I'm trying to read as quickly as possible. Okay, so it's
the winner for the last and final question is Jose Nunez.
Jose Nunez. All right, so that is the correct answer is C. Both A and B are correct. All right, so thank you guys. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second, and I just want to make sure that no one else has any questions. We're going to stay on a little bit to see if there's any questions. Make sure that you go ahead, Todd.
I was just going to say next Wednesday is Rapid Spec, I believe. Rapid Spec is the design software or specification software for both commercial and residential, where we'll walk you through how to select equipment and make a submittal for a commercial job that you're maybe bidding, or if you just want to match up residential equipment. So that's next Wednesday, same place, same time.
Yes, we will have coffee together next Wednesday morning, promptly at 8 o'clock. And make sure you're registered for that one. Again, you can go to tropicsupply.com/events calendar. You will see all of our upcoming training, whether it's here virtually or in person. We hope to see you around town.
Jose, excuse me, Jose Nunez, could you please send me your email address?
In the
Appreciate
chat
it.
box. Yep.
In the chat box. Thank you.
All right. We are going to stay on to let Jose put his email on, but
Yes.
everybody else, you are free to go about your day. Have a super awesome day, and we will see you next Wednesday at the very earliest. There you go. You got it.
There you go.
Thank you, Jose. All right, we're going to end the webinar now. Thank you.